Alright guys, so we've been talking a lot about finding the main idea, and we've worked a little bit with trying to find the details to go with our main idea. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit more today. So, let's click to our next slide. So we know the main idea is what it's mostly about. The details are what support the main idea by telling more about it, by describing it, or by explaining it more. Okay, so that's what we're going to be working on today. So we're going to talk about what to do to find those details to go with your main idea. So first we need to read the text. Then we're going to state the main idea by saying the main idea is blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to think what keywords or phrases from the text give us more information about the main idea. Okay, so we're going to practice this now. So I'm going to read this to you. Just follow along with me. The discovery of gold. In 1848, John Sutter hired several people to build a sawmill on his property near what is now known as the town of Coloma, California. One of those men was James Marshall. As Marshall worked at Sutter's mill, he found tiny flakes of gold in the river. Marshall showed the gold to Sutter. Both men promised to keep the findings a secret. However, the secret was quickly out. People began rushing to California in search of gold and a way to get rich. In 1849 alone, about 90,000 people arrived in California to hunt for gold. These people were called the 49ers, marking the year they arrived. Okay, so I'm going to quickly summarize what I just read. So I read that James Marshall worked for John Sutter on a sawmill, and Marshall was looking in the river and he saw tiny flakes of gold. He told Sutter about it, and while they wanted to keep it a secret, it didn't happen, and a lot of people heard about it and they came running to California to find gold for themselves. Okay, so let's move on. So we're going to state the main idea. So if you remember, we talked about finding the main idea and a list of things you could look at. So we know you can look at the text features, the title, and things like that, or the headings or pictures. So there's no pictures, there's no text features. The title is The Discovery of Gold. And then, remember, we can look at our first and last sentence to see if those help us at all. So, in 1848, John Sutter hired several people to build a sawmill on his property near what is known as the town of Coloma, California. Doesn't really help me. I know it's going to take place in California. And then the last sentence, these people were called the 49ers, marking the year they arrived. That doesn't really tell me a lot either if I just had that first and last sentence. So then, remember, I can look for words that are repeated several times. So the word gold and California appear over and over and over again in the text. So that's going to help me with my main idea. So I'm going to say the main idea is how the discovery of gold led to everyone rushing to California. Because that's basically what this is telling us about. It's the discovery of gold and what happened because of the discovery of gold. Okay, so now that I have my main idea, I'm going to move on. And the next step, I'm going to think about what keywords or phrases give or explain more about the main idea. So I'm actually going to click out of this so that I can type here. So if I'm thinking back to what I read and I'm just looking through, I think Marshall is probably pretty important because he's the one that found the gold. And Marshall was on Sutter's mill. Okay. And then something else I think is important, that there were gold flakes in the river. Okay. Because that's basically what started it all. And then 90,000 people arrived is another big detail that stands out to me, because it's telling me that, like, because of the discovery of gold, all this happened. So, with that in mind, I'm going to take this list that I've just made and I'm going to put it into an actual writing, which is what we're going to work on today in groups, so pay attention. So I've written the main idea again. The main idea is how the discovery of gold led to everyone rushing to California. One detail is that Marshall worked on Sutter's Mill. And another detail is Marshall. Actually, I'm going to bounce back up to this detail because I think this is important. One detail is Marshall worked on Sutter's Mill in California, because that kind of ties it more together with our main idea. Another detail is Marshall found gold flakes in the river. A third detail is 90,000 people arrived in California to hunt for gold. Okay, so I have just that quickly, because I know what I'm looking for and how that list of things that we've talked about for main idea and how we can practice finding details. I've just that quickly written my main idea and written 3 details that go with that main idea. So again, I'm going to read it one more time. The main idea is how the discovery of gold led to everyone rushing to California. One detail is Marshall worked on Sutter's Mill in California. Another detail is Marshall found gold flakes in the river. A third detail is 90,000 people arrived in California to hunt for gold. So this kind of all together summarizes what happened in this article. Alright, so we're going to work on this today in group. Make sure that if you don't understand how to do this, you go back and re-watch this video, because this is what we're going to work on. We're going to write that main idea statement very quickly, and then we're going to find 3 details by finding phrases to help us write our 3 details in sentences. Alright, see you guys in group.